So today's video is going to be all about choosing between having a birth center birth versus a home birth. Now, I'm going to just basically take you through a journey and even show you guys some clips from both of the births, kind of the more before and the after, or the behind the scenes, just so you get a real, genuine feel of each path. That way you guys can make the best possible decision for what you think is going to be right for you. So let's go ahead and start with birthing centers. Be aware while I'm talking about my birth center, it's going to be different from every birth center out there, but usually there's a lot of things that are quite similar. One of the reasons I was also more comfortable with the idea of a birth center birth, and why I think a lot of people are, is just psychologically it's instilled in our culture and our society that you just gotta go somewhere to have a baby. Like for a lot of people, just doing home birth just seems something like really weird, really scary, really alternative. It's like if you still want to have like a home away from home type of birth, a lot of people choose to go to birth centers because it just feels more natural for our culture. There's not really that much of a difference medically speaking. If you choose a birth center birth that's not like connected to a hospital or freakishly close to a hospital, you still need to be transferred should there be an emergency. So it's kind of funny that telling people that I was having a birth center birth, it didn't freak them out as much as when I tell people I'm having a home birth, because they're basically kind of the same thing. It's just you're going somewhere special to have a baby when you have a birth center birth. So let's just take you on that journey. So Olivia was born August 27th. As you guys know, I had a pretty long early labor with her, but everyone kind of does. But I mean, even when it started getting semi-active, it was kind of long, in my opinion. But I have seen longer now being a doula. On August 26th, I had labored the whole day with her, and it was great because I had my midwife who I could call at any time, and I just kept telling her, kind of giving her updates on what was going on, and she was offering me suggestions throughout the day and throughout that evening when things started really ramping up. And two, what she was doing is she was just really looking for cues as to when she felt that it was probably the right time to come over, check me, and then transfer me to the birth center. Now be aware, not all birth center midwives will actually come to your house and check you. You may need to go to them, I don't know, but my midwife came to my house. There came a point around midnight where I was starting to feel like this has to be the real deal. Tell her to come because I'm feeling like really antsy and like I want to know how far along I am. So she came over and we did a lot of the laboring on our own, which I was really pleased about. And she's like, congratulations, you are 5 centimeters. Would you like to stay home and labor some more, or do you want to go to the birth center? And for me, the idea of the birth center was really comforting, and also like, well, if I go to the birth center, that'll make it all real, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna have a baby and this will all be over. So that was one comfort thing about the birth center. But as soon as everybody kind of left me, because my husband was like calling for the taxi, my midwife was headed off to the birth center in her own car on her own, I started feeling really stressy because it started kind of feeling like I might be going to a hospital, because, you know, like that's just what is normal when you get to this point in your labor. And I was just like, oh my gosh, when I come home, nothing's going to be the same. And it could have just been because I was left alone during that time and I wasn't really receiving that much emotional support during the transfer process. My contractions also did start to slow during that time, keep in mind too. And I feel like almost every woman that I doula, when we do a transfer to the hospital or wherever, there's a slow in progress because there's like an adrenaline rush, because you're going to be leaving your cozy home nest and then having to get used to another one. We get to the birth center and my midwife had made tea. It was night, so it was really cozy lit. And I swear, like, I wasn't as spiritual of a person as I am now. Well, I think I kind of always was, but I could just feel the energies of that room. Like, so many women who had given birth before me, like the energies were so clear and so there, and I really think that it helped set the mood, set my motivation, and I just felt like from that moment everything was going to be okay. I was in so much happiness and bliss looking at my environment, and a cozy nest is exactly what you need in order to get your contractions back and to have a baby. Like, it's like the key for real. And something that's great about birth centers is you don't have to do any of that setting up yourself. Like the birth center is already usually beautifully prepared. We have some really nice looking hospitals here in Munich, I feel like, but they still have a lot of medical stuff, and it's like, you know, it's not exactly perfect, but like the birth center was like the perfect place. This time I really want to put more effort into my birthing environment at home, which we'll get into when we get to the home birth section. So that was a huge pro for me about the birth center, because this was an environment that was intended and designed for a healthy, happy mother to give birth. In terms of the birth, like it was just a really great positive birth experience. I like that it was nighttime, but you can't choose when you give birth. I feel like I progressed pretty normally from that point onwards. They had all kinds of different techniques that I could use and all kinds of tools I could use for pushing. Like the birthing stool was what I wanted, so I had access to that, which I felt like was what I needed to give birth the first time. When it comes to the before and the after of the birth, everything was great, apart from when I started getting stressed out from having to transfer. After the birth, we had our golden hour because Olivia was nice and healthy. There was no reason for my midwife to need to examine her really that closely. So we had a lot of bonding. There's a bit of a time limit when you have a birth center birth. I feel like a little bit more than when you have a home birth, to kind of get you in and out of there, because there was about to be childbirth classes in the next room, and I think my midwife kind of wanted to have me out of the birthing center. That way, like I wasn't leaving with like a whole bunch of other moms with their screaming babies, you know, like coming in at the same time. So there was like kind of a bit of a rushed feeling, I felt like, in terms of getting us kind of in and out of there after the initial golden hour. And you know, I feel like it was just so much more cozy, which we'll get into in the home birth, of just being able to lie in my bed. But like this time, I mean, like I had just given birth. She's like, do you want a shower? And I was like, sure. And she's like, okay, let's go get you in the shower. And I like got up and I was like all like lightheaded. You know, I was just like, because I just lost so much blood and I had been awake for so long. And I'm like, whoa, I feel really weird. I feel really woozy. And then it was like, next thing we know, you know, Livia was in her car seat. I just kind of felt like really, really tired and really, really out of it. And then it's like, okay, into the taxi and then up our flight of stairs at home. And I was just like, by the time I got home, I actually felt like quite good when I got home. I felt like really accomplished and stuff. Like I was feeling really proud of myself. But part of me really wishes that we would have just had like more time to just sit there and just have time with Olivia. And I think that there was a lot of pressure to get her latched onto the breast during that time, or in an initial time period, that in sort of that way to kind of get us in and out of the birthing center. And I don't think it was my midwife's fault. I just think that that's just maybe how it could go in some birthing centers, depending on the time of the day and stuff like that, because there was only one room. There could have also been another woman who was wanting to come and use the room too. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, that first initial hour, hour and a half, it's hard for me to really say, was really, really beautiful, but a teeny bit rushed. So let's get into having a home birth and why I'm choosing a home birth again. The transfer is annoying, in my opinion, and kind of unnecessary, especially since like when you go to a hospital, you usually spend a couple days there and they have people who are coming to help you and take care of like a whole bunch of stuff, at least here in Munich. But to me, honestly, the reason why I chose a home birth the next time was because I just felt like if there's no medical difference between having a birth and a home birth, I'm just gonna do it at home, you know? And I was like, I've already had a really good, easy, you know, delivery. I'm probably gonna have another one again. And I felt more confident in choosing home birth the next time. Giving birth at home is interesting, and I didn't really prepare as cozy as an environment or setup as I think I should have, because I really feel like that environment in the birth center is what helped my labor progress less painfully, and also, well, it's hard to say because Leia's birth was just very all over the place, and I feel like it's because my mind was so all over the place because I already had a toddler who was at home. My mother-in-law had come over. She was literally in the neighborhood, like just hanging out, you know, making sure that everything was okay, and I was at home. It was the daytime, and I just felt like, this doesn't feel right. So giving birth at home, I think I just should have prepared my environment more. So giving birth at home was a little bit weird. And I think it also had to do with it being during the day. But the after was absolute pure bliss. I got to spend so much bonding time with Leia. We had more than just the golden hour. We had the golden hours. We were just at home. My midwife was coming back and checking on me once in a while throughout that evening. Not that in Olivia's birth, there was still a midwife coming to my house and checking on me at least once a day. You know, all in all, I felt like, I know I talked a lot more about the birth center, but I just feel like there's a lot more to doing a birth center. Doing a home birth can be so much more practical, so much easier, and I feel like you get more bonding time and less stress from the transfer rate with the babies. So that's why the home birth bits are so much shorter, but all in all, it's like, they're basically the same thing, only you got the annoying transfer rate, I feel like, with a birth center. But again, like I said, the perfect environment at the birth center, I didn't have to create that, so you just kind of have to weigh the pros and the cons that way. So this video is getting kind of long, and I had something else I wanted to talk about with you guys. So I was given a pretty cool opportunity to actually review and go through some course material, some antenatal course material from a New Zealand company called Empowered Parenthood. It's a midwife-led holistic antenatal course covering everything from pregnancy nutrition. There's even a teeny bit of talk about vegan and vegetarianism. There's yoga content, meditation. There's even actual home birth footage. It's led by this amazing midwife named Michelle Pearson in New Zealand, and she just has a really calm vibe, and it gives you this sense of like this one-on-one connect with a midwife. I feel like if this is your first baby, this course especially would be really good for you, but even if you're having more, they cover everything from breastfeeding. My favorite part of the course so far has been discovering what position your baby's in and getting your baby into the proper position. And it's just all set up really, really nicely. And it's an 8-week course, and it starts February 21st and it ends 8 weeks afterwards. And every week you will get about an hour's worth of course material. There is going to be a live chat with the midwife who is running the program, and you can ask her any questions. I, as a doula, will also be in the discussion board, and we can chat together. You guys can feel free to ask me any questions if you have any from a doula's perspective. I just think it's an overall really cool program, and there's a lot of online courses these days from hypnobirthing to mindful birthing, but I like how holistic this one is. You get a lot of really good, valuable information, which even I, as a doula, had learned a lot from in this course, because I've already looked through it quite a bit, but I will be officially starting it at the same time as you guys, so we kind of go through it together if you want to sign up for the same course at the same time. But if you don't want to do that, you can always take the next course, or you could even do a bit of a cheaper route also, and you could be sent everything really fast if your due date happens to be really quick and you just want to go through all the course material. I hope to see you guys there. I think that the course is definitely worth the price. This is coming from a doula's perspective. A lot of childbirth courses in my area are around $300 to $400. They are also in person, but this course is, I think, quite reasonably priced for what you're going to get out of it, and also what you put into it is going to be how much you get out of it as well. So when you do sign up for it, just be aware that doing research on the side, which there's a lot of really great references in this course and lots of really good books that you guys can delve into. And again, one of my favorite things about the course is that it's just like a very one-on-one midwife kind of situation, which I know that not a lot of people in the States have access to, kind of feeling like they have a midwife talking directly to them, because they can be quite expensive in the States, I do believe. So yeah, go ahead and check it out. I will put the link for that in the description box, and I hope that you guys found this video helpful, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!